saw all these influencers going to places like Bali and sitting on the beach and all this amazing stuff that I would have loved to have done. Like, I was jealous, but I kind of was like, well, how much is there around me to see? We think of a place as popular as California. They know like the main things, Yosemite or Disneyland or San Francisco and LA, but it's just amazing how much diversity there is in California, from hikes to unique art installations. Travel doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be the 2 weeks of vacation you get a year.
People are into this off the beaten path, lesser known, under the radar kind of attractions.
There's so many artistic communities throughout the state. It's way 3 hours from Los Angeles, out in the middle of the desert, but they're creating beautiful art. People come from all over the world to go to the California desert. It feels almost like you're in a Martian landscape when you go out there.
California isn't just the land of beaches and movie stars. It's also home to scads of hidden art installations, uninhabited islands, and an off-the-beaten-path, hand-painted mountain in the middle of the desert. I'm Angie Orth, and from hunting for alien lore to discovering secret speakeasies, a spirit of curiosity has led today's guest far beyond any guidebook and deep into the soul of the Golden State. For more than a decade, videographer and photographer Josh McNair has documented interesting places to visit in California and beyond on his blog and YouTube channel, CaliforniaThroughMyLens.com. He recently released a video titled 10 Hidden Gems in California You've Probably Never Heard of, and appeared as a celebrity contributor to Westways magazine's fall cover story, Hidden California, alongside famous Californians like Jane Lynch, Roy Choi, John Stamos, and Jason Mraz. So thank you for being on the show, Josh.
Thank you for having me. That's a good collection of people to be appearing alongside as well.
I know, I feel kind of famous by association, and you've been documenting this side of California for over a decade, and you have a massive following. So what is it that sparked your passion for seeking out sort of under the radar destinations?
We think of a place as popular as California. It's like people know California all over the world, but they know like the main things, like Yosemite or Disneyland or San Francisco and LA. And those things are all great. You should definitely dedicate time to exploring those. But it's just amazing how much diversity there is in California of things that you can see, from hikes to unique art installations and things like that all throughout the state. And so as I started my site, I did all of the main things. I was going to all those places I mentioned, but then as I started to kind of look for more and kind of peel back the onion almost on the state of California, I just found that there's just so many layers of cool things that you can see if you have just a little bit of more time or do a little bit more research when you're exploring.
So you have a really big following, which tells me that people are into this off the beaten path, lesser known, under the radar kind of attractions. So what is the appeal of visiting a hidden place versus a more popular tourist attraction?
The reason I started my website and my channel way back in the day is that I was working full time. I was very busy. I didn't have a lot of time to explore, and so I saw all these people and influencers going to places like Bali and sitting on the beach and all this amazing stuff that I would have loved to have done. Like, I was jealous, but I kind of was like, well, how much is there around me to see? Like, can I go do weekend adventures and see amazing things? Like, is that even possible? And so as I started, my wife and I would go to LA and we'd spend the entire day, trying to just find unique things to do down there. And that really helped me to see that travel doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be the 2 weeks of vacation you get a year. You don't have to dedicate it to going somewhere. I mean, you can travel on the weekends. You can drive your car somewhere probably within 30, 45 minutes of you. And you can find amazing things to explore and to experience there. And I think that's what connects with people as well, is this idea that like you could sit and watch TV all weekend. That's great. I mean, we all need to relax, or you could go drive an hour and you might be able to have some amazing experience with your friends that you talk about for, the next 6 months. I mean, it's a much more approachable than people think. And I think those kind of hidden, unique places lead to that because, you can have a fun experience or get a cool picture or whatever while you're exploring.
What is your process for finding the secret spots?
When you start getting into the hidden spots, it's like you have to find the ones that you're interested in. One of the things that I really found passionate for myself was, outdoor exploration. And so I dove deep into the different hiking trails and figuring out that there was waterfalls and things that you could see in Southern California, which I never even knew that we had waterfalls down here. And then going out into the desert and exploring some of those places that people maybe shy away from a little bit because they take a little bit of extra effort, like the heat and things can kind of keep you away. And then once you go out there, I mean, you talk to locals or you do research on the different blogs and sites, and I mean, you can just find so many different amazing things to experience in any of those areas as you explore and research more.
In the Westways Hidden California story, you reveal that one of your favorite places in California is Salvation Mountain, which is not a mountain. So how did you find it and why did you choose it for your story?
That was one of the ones that I actually saw in the movie Into the Wild back in the day. Salvation Mountain was created by one man. His name was Leonard Knight. He had this idea of sharing that God is love with the world. So he had lots of different ideas of how he was going to do that. The first one was that he was going to create this huge hot air balloon. And he had sewed it himself, like patchwork hot air balloon. And he was going to fly it over the world that said, like, you know, God is love. And so he tried to take it off from a few different areas and never was able to kind of get it to take off. But when it kind of landed and settled in the desert, he just kind of was like, well, this is not probably the best option for me is to do this hot air balloon. And so he just started painting this mountain. And literally over the course of 35, 40 years, I mean, he's just putting hay and mud and paint on this humongous mountain out in the desert, you know, to get his idea that God is love out. He did it. I mean, people come from all over the world to see his mountain that he created. So it's crazy that, you know, this vision that he had and you know, the work he put into and the way that he connected with people. It's way 3 hours from Los Angeles out in the middle of the desert, but they're creating beautiful art. And I've come back multiple times because even though Leonard's passed away, the one who created the mountain, people are still keeping it up and they're still kind of treasuring this unique piece of art that was created out there. And people come from all over the world to go to the California desert and to see, you know, this painted mountain that one man made. And I love that because it's a true testament to the work that he did and sharing these cool places with us that we have in California.
Were there any secret spots that even you didn't know about that you came across?
Even reading the Westways article, I saw that there was a speakeasy that they talked about. I think it was called like Belly of the Beast or something like that. That's in Orange County. And I'm like, oh, I live 30 minutes from that and I have never been there. So, I mean, that's what I love about it is that I could have traveled the state for as long as I have. And somebody comes in and they find something that I never even knew about. I mean, that's kind of how diverse and awesome it is to explore California.
With MGM Rewards, every extraordinary moment counts for something more. From luxury stays in world-class dining to unforgettable entertainment and thrilling casino action, members earn on it all. Unlock exclusive perks, special rates, and one-of-a-kind access. Experience nonstop thrills and endless rewards in Las Vegas. The more you do, the better it gets. Learn more at AAA.com/MGM.
I want to ask you about a few of the specific spots. Let's start with the Trona Pinnacles. What is that?
Yeah, this is kind of a unique rock formation area, about 45 minutes or so as the crow flies from Death Valley National Park. Takes longer to drive. It's a lot of roads out there. But it feels almost like you're in a Martian landscape when you go out there. So these rocks just kind of jut out of the earth. It's very remote, so it's a great place for stargazing. People will often go out there and, you know, spend the night and just look up at the stars because there's no lights. And it just doesn't feel like a place that you would think you would see in California. And so it's something that draws people who want to go on a remote adventure.
Feels a bit otherworldly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also otherworldly is this giant rock. What is the deal with giant rock?
Yeah, that was one of those random ones that I found one time in the California desert. I had some people tell me about that, and it's definitely one you kind of have to go off the beaten path for again. Have to have a car that has a decent amount of clearance to get out there. But I mean, I've never seen a rock this big in my life. Like, this thing is humongous. There's so much history there, like trying to commune with aliens and things. If you like the kind of unique and a little bit more weird type thing, then, you know, that could be a great one for you to go check out.
Another one that's a little bit different was the Queen Khalifa's Magic Circle.
So I have like kind of these different ways that I've traveled over the years. Like, I've, you know, first traveled with just me and my wife and we would go see different things. And then now I actually have my children who travel with me. And so that's kind of unlocked, a different type of travel experience. And so Queen Cliva's is a perfect example of that, where, that was in a park area and there's lots of things for children to run around and kind of see there. But I mean, obviously I loved it as an adult too, because it's kind of this unique mosaic art that is absolutely beautiful and well worth seeking out. There's a lot to kind of explore in that little area. There's lots of cool art pieces. One thing to note though, it's only open 2 days a week for like a couple hours. So if you're wanting to go check that one out, make sure you're knowing when it's open so you're not disappointed. I think one of the things about California that's so unique is definitely the artistic communities, because there's so many artistic communities throughout the state that focus on different types of things. So, I mean, in the desert, you have kind of found art installations and all sorts of just unique. And then you have like some of the statues, like kind of by the waterfront in San Diego. And then you go up to San Francisco and the Bay Area, and you just have so much unique art too. So one of the things I love is just when I'm traveling, trying to find, some of those unique artist communities and seeing what they've created throughout the state, because it can differ so much from Southern California to Northern California.
What are the Desert X installations, and is it kind of hard to get to them?
Desert X is this cool thing that they do out in the Coachella Valley. It's once every 2 years, they have an art installation out in the desert. It's one of the things I love in California just because it doesn't happen very often. And so whenever it happens, it's only there for a couple months. And it's kind of like a treasure hunt, exactly like what you're saying, where they have a map, like a little app that you use. And it's like X marks a spot and you go drive out to it and you see an installation. You kind of never know what to expect when you're going out there. One year they had a house that was completely made of mirrors. Like they've had underground bunkers that you have to like get a code, and then you open the underground bunker and there's an art installation down there, and they don't keep any of the installations. And so it's just a cool thing to experience if you happen to be around for it.
And when does that happen?
It's usually in the spring. It just happened this year. So it was like March through May, so that means it probably won't happen again till 2027, I guess.
Good, so we have some time to plan.
And now a AAA Travel Minute, traveling with Fido. Taking your dog on vacation with you can be a tough trick to master, but with a few adjustments, your four-legged friend can be your best travel buddy. First, decide if the destination itself is Fido-friendly. Outdoorsy spots like mountains, beaches, and parks that allow pets may be appropriate. Just be sure to check local regulations before setting out. Avoid places where your pup will spend lots of time alone in a hotel room. If at all possible, drive rather than fly. The Humane Society cautions that air travel poses health risks for pets. Not to mention, every airline has its own, sometimes confusing restrictions. As for overnights, plenty of hotel chains now welcome dogs. Some even include special amenities. But for longer stays, a rental home with a yard and place to wash off paws is often more practical. Either way, bring along your pet's favorite blanket or toys. That can help them feel more at home on the road. This has been a AAA Travel Minute.
So you mentioned influencers, and we have talked about this before about once you share a secret spot, then it's not so secret anymore, right? So how do you kind of balance sharing these places with your audience, but preserving their sort of hidden nature?
That's a fantastic question, and something that I do think a lot about when I travel, because I feel like as one of the people who's been doing this for a long time, I've kind of I've not started to see the effects as much, but started to understand like what places can do well with tourism and what places cannot. So there's multiple, I could think of 6 or 7 places like off the top of my head that I've visited myself and have chosen not to share, just because I feel like they're almost like the specialness of them would maybe get taken away if like crowds and crowds of people came. And that's not the case for a lot of like influencers and people. I mean, they're obviously like, trying to chase likes and things like that. And I understand. But for me, it's like, I love these natural places and things in California. And so if I find something that I feel like could potentially be damaged by a lot of people visiting, then it's like, I usually will just kind of choose not to share that, because people can find it on their own, and I think that's great.
Some places are just too delicate, and it may be an absolutely stunning, gorgeous place, but knowing that 1,000 people coming every day could destroy it.
Even just doing like a teeny bit of research to find something, I feel like a lot of times that creates a little bit of a buy-in from the person, so that hopefully they will protect the place and stuff. Because I'm a firm believer in the fact that like experiencing things is one of those ways that you can connect people with the idea of conservation and stuff like that. It's hard to be like, hey, save the rainforest in South America if you haven't been, but if you go and you experience the rainforest and you see the beauty and the diversity and all of that, then it changes something in you and it makes you want to protect these places.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Tell me about a time when you went on an elaborate quest to find a secret spot.
The Channel Islands National Park is probably what fits the bill for that, because it's such an incredible place to go. It's one of the least visited national parks in the entire United States, just because of the difficulty to get there. To get to the closest island, it's going to be at least an hour and 15 minutes on a boat each direction. But to get to some of the further out islands, it's, you can be on a boat for 3 hours one way to get out there. And so I've been trying to get to all of the islands. I haven't got to the last one yet, but the third one, I did more recently, and that was about 3 hours out there. Like half the boat was sick. People are throwing up off the side of the boat because it was an especially choppy day, but at the same time we saw whales, smacking their tails down, and there was dolphins following our boat. And then once you get to this island, it's like there's no people, there's no houses, there's nothing out there. It's just untouched, beautiful land. And you don't find that very often, especially not like in something as beautiful as like those islands. And so it's definitely one of those ones, if you get seasick easily, it's going to be a little bit challenging for you. But if you can experience some of those remote islands off the coast of California, and there's just nothing like it. There's these little foxes that are like the size of the cats, and they walk around out there, and that's like the only place they are at in like the world. I mean, it's just wild out there, and it's really cool.
How important is timing when you're visiting an off the beaten path place?
I would say that timing is like 95% of visiting off the beaten path places. Because I mean, if you want to, some of these museums or something, like a museum dedicated to, vacuums or something like that, and they might be open on a Saturday from 1 to 3, because that's when they have a volunteer who can go down and open it up, because a lot of those places aren't highly trafficked areas. And so you need to do your research. And then alternatively, with visiting like hidden natural areas, I mean, sometimes like one specifically in the Anza-Borrego area, there's this place called Fons Point that I absolutely love. I think it's one of the most beautiful views in Southern California, but the best time by far to visit that is sunrise. So it's like, you can visit it anytime you want. It'll be amazing anytime you visit it. But if you can see the sun rising out in the distance over this, do craggy landscape, then there's, obviously something different about that. So I definitely say if you're trying to visit some of these places, do a little bit of research on the best times to visit. And if you're trying to visit anything that's like a museum or something that's a very niche museum, you definitely need to know. They could say they're open and they might not be open. So you just got to have your patience when you're exploring some of those places.
Do you have any other advice for travelers if they're preparing to kind of see some of these more demanding hidden spots?
Yeah, I mean, especially in California, I try to get this across to people when they're planning their trips, is that, someone will say like, hey, I'm going to fly into LA, I'm going to, drive to San Francisco, I'm going to go to Disneyland, and I have a week and a half. And it's like, can you do that? Absolutely. You can, if you want to. But I mean, it's going to be like a lot of time spent in the car. And so, especially if you're trying to get to, hidden places, like I know in the West News magazine, they talk about some of the caves on Santa Cruz Island in Channel Islands National Park. It's like, if you want to do that, like that's an entire day. Plus like making sure that you have spent the night at a hotel near where the boat's going to leave the next morning, because usually it leaves early. And then when you come back, you probably want to spend the night in a hotel that's nearby where the boat drops you back off again, because it's been such a long day that you want to make sure that you are rested after that. So, then you're looking at almost 2.5 days to go see that cave that's out in the islands. And so I always tell people that it's like, if you're going to travel California and you want to really have a great trip, like you kind of have to compartmentalize like the state and maybe you do a trip to Southern California, or maybe you do a trip to Northern California, or maybe you do a trip that's driving Pacific Coast Highway and you spend 7 days doing that. That allows you to kind of dive into the cultures and dive into the experiences more and really have like a good time there, instead of just kind of rushing from one thing to the next and something's closed and you have to skip it because you don't have the time to do it. So I guess just slowing down just a little bit and trying to kind of maybe break California down into sections will help you a lot when you're traveling.
What should people have on their bucket list to attack as they get time?
To me, Yosemite is the most beautiful place in the entire world, probably, that I've been to. I mean, I've been wanting to travel all the national parks in the United States. I'm up to like 52 or something of the 63 that they have. And to me, Yosemite is still number one. It's just such an insanely beautiful place, like the waterfalls and the rivers and the mountains and Half Dome and stuff. So like if I was only going one place in all of California, like that's the place I would recommend. And when I travel, I tell people, hey, Yosemite, like you got to get there at some point in time. But if I was going to kind of go a little bit deeper, then it's like you could do a trip where you went to Yosemite and you went to Sequoia and you went to Kings Canyon. If you were into kind of national parks, like that would be a great week doing those 3 national parks. And you could do a trip to the Bay Area where you spend a week and you do San Francisco and maybe you go down to Santa Cruz and maybe you go up to like Point Reyes. That national seashore up there is beautiful. You could do a week doing Pacific Coast Highway. You could do a week down in Southern California where you do, LA and San Diego if you're interested in cities, or, you could do LA and then you could go out to Joshua Tree and you could do some of, Salvation Mountain and some of those desert areas. I could plan 75 itineraries for you, but I mean, I think that's kind of how I would break it down a little bit for kind of those first trips to California, seeing the major cities if you care about that, but driving Pacific Coast Highway and seeing some of the national parks like Yosemite, like to me, that's like kind of the tip of the iceberg of California. And then you start going deeper.
You have said that a positive attitude is essential for visiting these off the beaten path kind of places. So is there an experience you had where that mindset really made a difference?
I think that a positive mindset is important for all travel. When I started my blog back in the day, I was reviewing restaurants, all that back in the day. And it's like, if I went to a restaurant that I didn't like I was just not going to write a review. It's like, I don't have the time, and I don't want to have the mental capacity to get on there and to write some super negative, scathing review about this restaurant that might have been someone's dream that they created and they invested all this time and money and effort into it. And maybe I went there on an off night, maybe I would have loved it if I went the day before, but for some reason I went and it was an off night. And so it's like, for me, I don't have time for kind of putting more negativity out into the world. And so it's like, just don't write anything, move on, let people experience that for themselves. But it's like, I think that's the same with these hidden gems and everything too. It's just like approaching everything with a positive experience and knowing that if you're going and visiting something, like a vacuum museum, it's like someone deeply cares about this. They've dedicated their life to finding these unique things, to bringing them in, to looking for antiques, to displaying them, to creating a place that someone can experience and see their passion. I'm always trying to encourage and be excited about people's passions, and having a positive mindset when you're traveling allows you to do that.
Yes, travel does kind of show us that there's a lot of people out there with a lot of different interests. And I love that you use the vacuum museum as an example, because I support harmless hyperfixations like that. So I think I would love the vacuum museum.
It's just so cool that we live in an age of information where you can find your audience and there's someone out there that's passionate about the things that you're passionate about. I mean, I love that. So
you can find your people. And the easiest people to find, I think, are foodies. And it sounds like you have probably eaten at more restaurants in California than most. So tell me about a secret spot where you can get a good meal or an unlisted beverage that kind of fits into our hidden California theme.
One of the things that my wife and I have been really interested in lately is, well, twofold, but speakeasies and tiki bars. And so we've been having a lot of fun with that, because there's a lot of really cool speakeasies in the Orange County, San Diego, LA area. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's just really fun for a night out, because there's one, in the Anaheim Packing House, which is kind of right next to Disneyland. And it's like, got to get reservations a couple weeks in advance, and they pull an old bookshelf and you walk in and it's dimly lit, and there's fun drinks and menu items and stuff. And so that's just something that we've really enjoyed, is seeing people kind of be really creative with that. And then the tiki bars too. There's one in Anaheim that we love going to as well. But I mean, I'm always a sucker for good tacos. There's tacos everywhere that you can get. But if you're in San Diego and you don't go to Tacos El Gordo, then you're missing out on a incredible experience. So Definitely do that one if you're in the San Diego area. I can't go without having it.
Okay, that's high praise and it has to be good. So put that on your bucket list, everybody. As California continues to grow and develop, do you think we're going to find more hidden destinations, or are they kind of becoming harder to find? Do you just have to dig deeper? How's it going for you as a searcher of these destinations?
That's a great question. I'll give you an example. We drove Route 66, my dad and I, about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a bucket list item for us, and it was something that we just had talked about my whole life. There's kind of almost this intersection of these amazing places and time and money and things like that. And so you look at Route 66, and there's so much history and uniqueness that's on that road, but there's also like a decline of tourism and a decline of people visiting, and these places can only exist for so long without money coming in and things like that, or historical societies preserving places. And so I do think that there's a big interest in these types of places and in keeping them for future generations, but there's also has to be someone who cares enough about it to invest the money and time to keep it up. So we're going to find and more people doing unique art and things like that. But I think there also are going to be historical ones that we're going to lose just because of the lack of volunteers or tourism money, or even tourists themselves, declining in visiting. So I think there's kind of always this, we're losing some, we're gaining others. And
So you have a map that has 1,500 spots for people to explore. That's a lot. And after all these years, are you still excited about finding these new hidden spots in California?
I could never think of a better career than the career that I have, to be able to travel and to be able to see things like and photograph and document them, and to be able to share them with people and hopefully get people interested in the things that are right outside their back door. I mean, I couldn't think of anything more exciting to do. And every day I'm excited about, what am I going to do next month? Like, what's my next thing that's coming up? And, and if I hear about something, it's like, oh man, I got to get out there. I got to see that for myself. So yeah, I mean, I am just as excited as I was in the beginning, maybe even more so now, because I have kids and I'm able to go back to the things that I loved myself and share that with them and start to see them, connect and see these places through a new sets of eyes. So, I mean, if anything, I'm probably more excited about what I'm doing and about finding new hidden gems than I was before. We've been talking about California, but you could do this in every state. Every state has something amazing that you can do there.
There's always going to be something hidden around the next corner.
Couldn't said it better myself. Perfect.
If you're planning a trip to the Golden State, then be sure to tune in to our next episode. Josh shares his top 5 hidden California experiences for every type of traveler. In the meantime, visit AAA.com/Hidden California to read about more than 50 secrets waiting to be uncovered. Josh McNair, thank you for joining us, and thank you to our listeners for being with us. If you're planning a trip, be sure to connect with a AAA travel advisor. Check out AAA.com/travel or visit your local branch. This podcast is a production of Auto Club Enterprises. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. I'm Angie Orth. Thank you for traveling with AAA.